Last episode, we gave you part 1 of the recipe for building a profitable business from scratch. And today is part 2. And this is episode 50. Yay! And today we will dissect the directions for the recipe for business, for your mental health. Because usually, if your finances are in order, your mental health will follow. Because money helps you feel secure, safe, sure, calm, at peace, and ready to go.
Plus, if you work on your mental health, it often has a positive impact on your finances if they're out of sorts.
You might be asking yourself, why would we be knowledgeable about the recipe for business success? Because together we have a combined failed 33 businesses. And when you can fail a bunch of businesses, that means you know what it takes to make successful businesses happen. And we definitely do. So stay to the end to hear our amazing book list of wonderful books that will help you improve your finances to help you ease your mental health. So let's get started. So Jay wrote a very short story about business that I want to share with you. Xyphelle the Martian dreamt of baking a cake, so she turned to Earth's culinary experts for advice. Ella stressed quality ingredients, so Xy invested in premium flour, which resulted in a costly catastrophe. Gordon advised bloody good utensils. Wait, oh my God, I love you. Which Xy bought, but still created an unpalatable mess. Nigella gushed on presentation, so Xy enrolled in a plating course, but her cake stayed barely edible. Xy felt incapable, inadequate, or fated to fail, and confided so in Timos, a Martian earth expert. He reminded her that success takes more than just ingredients, tools, and presentation. It requires a comprehensive start-to-finish recipe. Most experts overlook basic or obscure steps, like ensuring the stove was plugged in and free of frayed wires. You see, Xy, each guru loves teaching the big secret they missed, what worked for them, or the most profitable steps. They've forgotten what it's like to be a novice or an alien, unfamiliar with the basics. They can't bridge the gap for struggling learners. How can I fix this time? Well, you have 3 options. Abandon your baking aspirations, forge your own A to Z cooking process through trial and error, or find a guru who knows the whole recipe from the beginner's perspective. So Xy found a precise, compassionate mentor named Tom Cannell, who guided her patiently through every step of the cake-making process, ensuring no detail was overlooked and her journey towards her baking dream was reignited. Xy was ready to conquer the basics of cake making one step at a time. And obviously, this does not apply just to cooking. Can you see how this applies to the struggles in your business, your relationship, or your finances? Can you think of a business teacher who will cover every concept and idea? Oh, I do. He didn't write that part. I put it. That was, by the way, a really great story that you wrote that had to do with the recipe for business. You wrote it for something else. We had it and I thought it went really well here. So thank you so much. And the reason we're telling the story is because stories kind of make us understand things a lot easier than just telling the information. And since I'm not really asking a lot of questions in these 2 episodes, I really want to make sure that you all get the information. So thank you for the amazing story.
Yeah, what was your takeaway from it?
Well, that most gurus out there aren't teaching anything, and we're learning the one thing that worked for them, and then we plug it into our business and it's not working because maybe that's not the thing that we're struggling with. For me, this personally resonates because I did the same thing. Like Gary Vee is screaming at me to make more content, and he tells you to document your life. Well, if I'm just sitting on my couch and don't have anything to make, don't know what to do, don't know how to make an offer, have no idea about business, that's not going to help anybody. Not really. Well, I documented me sitting on my couch watching Gary's videos. And this is not helpful. So yeah, this is the biggest takeaway for me. Did you have anything else in mind?
No, that was the main point of the story.
Well,
the main point was to succeed at business consistently and effectively, a person needs to know the whole recipe and execute it well.
Right.
Otherwise, you can fluke out on a step here or there, but then you won't be able to teach someone else how to do it, and you're going to have trouble with the next business and so on and so forth.
Anyway, I think, in my opinion, that every business owner should know how to do it. Even if they don't do it, they should know how.
Sure. It's definitely recommended.
Yeah.
That's why I made the recipe.
Well, it's a great recipe. So, all right. So we're going to break down the steps and talk about those. So step 0, before we even get to step 1, is about the setup, the preparation, and it should be a one-time thing. That's it. So the things that we discussed in part 1, picking your platform, your niche, your tribe, getting your bio set up, getting your grid of 9, if you're using Instagram, set up so that when people come, they see who you are and what you do, and your Dream 100. This is the initial setup. It takes like no time. And unfortunately,
a week.
Right. It should, like a week at the max. And unfortunately, a lot of people want to spend a lot of time doing this before they actually do anything else. And I also want to include in there, of course, market research and all that extra stuff.
Yeah, it's really the first half of the ingredients.
Right.
They all need to be set up and taken care of.
Because otherwise you don't have anything for other people to see and you don't know what to do.
Yeah, it's like not having flour or eggs in the pantry when you're going to bake a cake.
Yeah, pretty important ingredient.
So you better have them taken care of.
All right, so that's great. So that's step 0.
Mm-hmm.
And then the actual first step is daily social listening. This is being social on social. This is going to your list of your Dream 100 and being nice, being a human, introducing yourself, commenting on their things. What are they talking about? What are they selling? What are they interested in? What do they want? What are their desires? This will be obvious when they're posting and talking to you, only if you are engaging with them.
Yeah, you make a separate special social listening account on your social platforms to go and follow your Dream 100. And so your feed is full of only influencers that you would like to connect with.
Right.
And as those posts from those influencers pop up, you see them as organic opportunities to engage.
Yes.
So that's not the only way to do it, but it's a great way to stay engaged with and keep up with what your Dream 100 are doing and to pop in and add value whenever you can. And if you do it enough, plant enough seeds, have enough touch points, pretty soon those influencers are thinking of you as a friend or a familiar face or a super fan or someone who's been around since the beginning or whatever. They like that.
Yeah, and a lot of people get intimidated by the number of the following that people have. But let me tell you, I have made friends with people of all size social media accounts, from people with in the millions and millions to those with a couple hundred or even less than that, 100 followers. Like, it doesn't matter if you are being social and you're being genuine and you're being sincere and you are showing them that you're around and they see your face and start recognizing your username. They will be friendly and you can make friends with these people. It is not a difficult thing.
Yeah, just don't be pitching them nonstop. Act like a human. Be a real friend. Imagine you were at a big party, because social media or the public is really just a big party, and you're in their space and you're the newcomer to their space. And how would you behave as a newcomer to someone's house party? How would you make friends?
Right. So for me, I'm just going to give a small example of what's helpful for me. So I pretend that I'm dating this person. I'm being gracious. I'm funny and warm. All the things I would do on a first date, and acting interested, wanting to know about them. And it's, for me, honestly, it's not an act. I do enjoy making friends. I do enjoy helping people. So it really is sincere and genuine for me. However, I do know that for some people, it's not always easy to come by. So follow your gut and talk to people that feel good to you. Don't pick people because they have a big account or because what they can do for you. Really, genuinely make friends.
Yeah, and everybody knows somebody. So you might be connecting to someone with 500 followers, but their cousin might be someone with a big account. You never know. So just target your Dream 100 or their fans or their followers and engage with whoever feels right to you on whatever post feels right to you. And if you don't have enough of those posts popping up, follow more people, get more alerts, do other platforms, but you got to Be creative. You're a CEO now. You're a business owner now. You're an entrepreneur now. And if step one is make more friends every day, then you better find a way to make more friends every day. And there are millions of books on this and lots of ways to do it, but it's bare minimum, basic step one to getting the word out about your business.
Agree.
And don't start making friends by talking about your business. Start by making actual friends.
Yes. You've made friends a million times in your life. It's the same thing online as it is in real life.
And they will eventually ask you what you do or what are you about? And you'll have a rapport. If you want, you can run a direct response business and just cold call everyone and spam everybody. Technically, that will make you the odd friend, but you have to be prepared for a lot of rejection and
You need tremendous numbers for that.
yeah, and a massive volume.
Yeah.
So that's step one, social listening, making friends.
Yay. And because you don't really like doing that, that's my job. And that's an example of delegating something that you don't really enjoy, but you're really good at. So yay. Thank you so much. Step 2 is touch points. So once you start doing the outreach and you start talking to people and making friends, the very first time you talk to somebody, they're not going to even like really care about you or what you do. They may thank you or whatever and move on. Well, it takes multiple touch points. How many times have you gone in a store and seen a pair of shoes or a bag or a toy or whatever that you really wanted, but you didn't buy, and you left the store and you kept thinking about that item. And then the next time you were at the store, you went and saw it again and you looked at it, you tried it on, you read the directions or whatever, and it was another touch point. And then you went home and you couldn't stop thinking about it. And that's another touch point until like 5 or 6 times and you finally give in and buy the item. We've all been there at some point with a car, with shoes, with a game, with something. It's the same with your audience, or it's the same with your list.
Yeah. In fact, you've probably done it with a list too. Have you ever saw an influencer that you like and their product seems too pricey right now, or you're not really interested, but you like them? So you follow them and you get on their email list, and then they send out one email and next week another one and another one. And each of those emails is a touch point, and you start to feel familiar and comfortable with them. And you're like, man, this influencer is really smart. And then they finally put their flagship product out on sale as a discount for their list only. And you're like, oh, okay, time to pull the trigger. And you finally become a customer of that influencer. That's a lot of touch points. That's a long journey. If that's how you end up buying things, how are people going to buy from you? The same way, with multiple touch points.
When you were talking, you made me think of the Kardashians. And so they are really good at this. They build up all those touch points with the show and their Instagram, and they get people involved. I mean, I've seen people so mean to each other in the comments about it, and like they feel protective or really, really hate them or really, really love them, but they're still making all these touch points. So then they Kim puts out Skims and it sells out, or her earbud things and they sell out, like because of all the touch points, and we feel like we know her. No, we don't. So it's great. Thank you.
Yeah. Step 2 is important.
Yeah, agreed. Those multiple touch points. And so what I suggest with your list, I make a day in my week to go back and follow up with the people from the previous week.
Yeah, because follow up is where you get your extra touch points. Yeah. You're retouching them.
Yes. I like being touched again and again. And step 3 is tracking engagement. So a lot of times people get started with this stuff and they don't want to track. They don't want to write it down. They want to mark it off. You don't have to make anything special or serious. Like some people have a Google document. Some people have an Excel spreadsheet. I use tally marks on a piece of paper. I write the date. I write the tally marks. And then wherever I was at, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, whatever, and I tally mark and I keep the sheets. It doesn't have to be special. It doesn't have to be fancy. Just so you know what you're doing and how many you've reached in a day. Why does that matter?
Well, imagine that you don't track and then you do, 5 or 10 throughout the day, but it feels like a lot. And then you go to sleep and you're convinced that you did so much work, but really you only had 5 or 10 touch points. Then you do it again the next day, then the next day, and the next day. And the whole week, you're proud of your business and proud of all the work you've done. And it feels good. But the data says 10 per day. You touched 70 people this week, 70 touch points in a whole week. So 8-hour shift, 8-hour shift, 8-hour shift in your business, and you got 70 touch points, not 70 sales, 70 touch points.
Yeah.
What's going to happen?
Well, it's going to take 100 million years for you to make a sale.
Well, and how are you going to feel? Like, are you going to be rich?
No.
Are you going to pay your bills?
Nope.
Are you going to get the sales you want, the customers you want?
Nope.
So how are you going to feel about life and business after a month of this?
You're going to want to give up. It feels like I've done everything and it's not working. I'm really bad at this. Forget this. And then they give up.
Yeah, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
It's going to happen. But would that have happened if you tally marked every time and you saw, well, I reached 10 touch points today. The teenage intern at the marketing agency reached 800 touch points.
Yeah. Yeah. So I highly recommend that you do 100 in a day because, again, 100 for one. It works for me almost every time. I do 100. The next day I wake up to at least, and I break the rule all the time, but at least one person signing up or one person replying to my DMs or, because I want to really emphasize the point isn't the sale. I know we want to make the sale. We want to make money, of course, but we want to provide value. Every comment, every reply, every like, every time you interact with the person online in regards to your business or even personal is another touch point to help you grow your business. So when you can see those as currency, that's super helpful. But that's just a side thing.
Yeah, it is currency. Engagement and touch points are currency. Likes are currency. Followers are currency. Act like it. Start saying you're making money. You're making wealth. You're becoming rich with those likes. You're becoming rich with those comments and those engagements and those touch points because those are the start of the sales cycle.
And what's really interesting too about this part is that when you're tracking all that stuff, not just tracking who you reach out to and talk to, but if you're tracking the people who are commenting or replying to you or liking your stuff, this will build up your self-confidence.
Yeah, it feels really good. Damn, I got a lot of touch points today. Exactly. My sheet is filled up. I'm proud of myself. I'm going to go to sleep and I know this is going to lead to customers. It may take 8 to 15 touch points per sale, but that's life. Like people buy after 8 to 15 touch points. I don't know.
Yeah.
Works on you. It works on me. Everyone who's watching this has bought after 8 to 15 touch points, whether they think they have or they haven't. So
it's very, very true. And when our self-confidence is better, then our mental health is better. And then it makes it easier for us to do business and make money. And therefore our mental health improves even more. So it's just win, 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 win all over the place.
Yeah, that's why I kept insisting that you focus on making money and running a business and helping people and getting your value out to the world and standing on your own. Because I knew it would free up your mental health and you would feel like a new person and you would have the power. Once you have FU money, right? When you can tell your job to F off or your family to F off or some stranger on the street to F off, that's insane mental health, right?
Yes.
You now don't care what people think. You now do whatever you want. I made my own way. I'm standing on my own 2 feet. None of you can tell me nothing. And so you get to, be yourself.
Agreed.
You can be yourself without any fear. And having funds helps that a lot. It's not necessary. I beat myself when I was homeless and poor.
Yes.
But most people aren't willing to do that. They're not willing to be homeless just to stand for who they are. So then your only other alternative is find your own shelter and pay your own way and have your own income and wealth and so on. And then you can be yourself.
Yeah, makes sense. Well, it's really been helpful to me to track everything and see it. It's part of my cookie jar. I write things down that when I get somebody that I really, really want to comment. There was a person when we first started that never, ever replied to anyone in their comments. They liked everybody's comment, but they never, ever hit the reply and add. And the day that they did, finally, they were hit the reply and added me. I was like, oh, yes. It felt like the biggest win. And I wrote that down. So it's in my daily tracking too, but I have a special thing when things like that happen to lift me up.
The cookie jar.
The cookie jar.
For positive successes.
Yeah. So
track your positive successes. Yeah.
Very helpful. Step 4 is hooking them into the funnel. You gotta have a funnel.
And a hook.
and hook. Yes, to hook them. It's very true. And when I heard this word funnel, like when I first started learning about business, I would ignore it. Like, I'm like, I don't know what that is. I don't know what that means. I know what an actual funnel is, but I don't know what that means to business. And people would tell me, and I would read it, and I would still be like, whatever. I didn't really understand because it felt like it was hard. But everybody has a funnel. If you sell something, you have a funnel.
Yeah. Home Depot has a funnel. Walmart has a funnel. The convenience store in the street has a funnel.
Sex workers have a funnel.
Sex workers have a funnel. The vending machine that you walk by has a funnel.
Yeah.
So
exactly. So if you don't know what a funnel is, email me and we'll talk about it. And I'm happy to help you with learning what a funnel is, because it was not the easiest thing for me, but it was because I was stopping myself for some reason and I didn't understand the very simple basics of what it was.
Yeah, every business has one. It's super easy.
Yeah. But if you want to talk about it, I'm more than happy to explain what really made it click for me. So yeah.
Yeah, me.
Yes, you. Really, basically, you and Russell Brunson together really helped me understand what a funnel was. So, because again, I was doing all the things the gurus were saying. Oh, you need a juicy offer. Okay, here, we made this amazing juicy offer. It was wonderful. It was amazing. We put so much time and love. I was so excited. But I didn't understand a funnel. So it was like a big wah-wah after we did it because we didn't have a funnel. So yeah, now I understand why it matters. And we're more than happy to help you with yours.
All good. Like, you have all these touch points with these people. When do they get hooked into the funnel? When do we start talking about our business? When do we start talking about our offer? When do we compel them to join our list or give us a shout out? Like, it's not just friendship the whole way. It has to graduate.
Okay.
And it graduates when you hook them.
So what I've done when I hook them, I ask questions. So one way is to ask them if they know anybody who needs mental health help, or do you know anybody who could use a free, uplifting mental health book to help with their life, their business, or whatever. Or I just tell them what I do. You know, a lot of times they ask, like, what do I do? Who I am. You're so nice. You're so helpful. What do you do? And this, depending on how the relationship goes, these are all different ways that I've done it. And usually when you ask them if they know anybody, they're like, oh, yeah, me. I need help with my mental health stuff for X, Y, and Z. And then I can offer them the book, which we're giving away for free. So, and also if I'm doing cold DMs, then I do the same thing. I do my best to treat my cold leads like my warm ones, and I'm nice and I personalize things and I ask questions. So that's one way to hook them in.
Yeah. Another way is how Hollywood does it. They use a big recognizable name or a handsome or beautiful face. Mm-hmm. And they use a flashy viral movie trailer with some great quotes or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's enough to hook people to come in and check out their movie. But even Hollywood does it only after multiple touch points. They make sure the poster and the billboard is shown everywhere. They make sure it's on screen and it pops up in your YouTube video and the ads are shown and yada, yada, yada. And then eventually they release the trailer.
Yeah, because and sometimes it's just word of mouth. Well, they're making a new Marvel movie or they're making a new Matrix or what, and then to get people psyched before they even put out the trailer.
Yeah, and where does the word of mouth come from, though? Touch points with the actors and actresses doing interviews on the talk show circuit.
Right.
It's touch point, all leading up to the movie until they release the trailer and it hooks you and then you go see the movie. When we get to the book list, we'll check out books like Hook Point and Get Different that teach you how to stand out and compel people into your funnel. But for now, this step must be done.
Yeah, absolutely. And hooking someone into your offer, it has to be like your offer should speak to something that they already need. You have reached out to them because they have somewhere expressed need for what you are offering. So that's why they're on your list. So
otherwise, why are you involved with them?
Right.
Like if I'm selling skateboards, I don't go hook up my list with all the elderly seniors at the seniors home.
Right.
Why would I do that?
Right.
So surely you are reaching out to people who are in the ballpark of needing what you have.
And that way, your hook, it's easier for them to want it.
Sure, it resonates.
Yeah, it resonates more. Like, I'm not trying to hook a shark with a sunflower, I'm going to put a big fat piece of meaty, bloody meat on my hook and throw it out there so the shark gets it or wants it, because that's what they're after.
Thank you for that imagery.
Step 5 is having a juicy, delicious offer in your funnel. Now, I mentioned in the last step that we worked on a juicy offer, but we had no leads, we had no list, and we didn't know what to do after we had the offer because we had no funnel. So once we fixed having the funnel, everything went smooth and we started to make sales. Everything went much better for the Bimbo Whisperer. But without that juicy offer, people wouldn't have wanted to buy anything. And so for now, our juicy offer is our workbook, our audiobook, our hardcover book that's for sale, and our coaching. And later on, we will expand that to 30 days with Sin and Jay. And how do we get them in? What's our hook? Our free PDF. So can you explain a little bit about what a juicy offer is, or what a juicy offer is exactly?
Yeah, a juicy offer is where you make your money, and it's basically an offer people can't say no to. Your audience is so impressed with this offer that they're just like, yeah, here, take my money. And there's an art and science to making a really compelling offer. Alex Hormozi's value equation is probably the best way I've seen this done, though I believe Mark Joyner from Simpleology also taught something similar. And basically, you're just offering the audience exactly what they want in as short a time as possible, with as little effort as possible, at the most affordable price as possible, with the most guarantees as possible, and the least risk of failure as possible. So it's a different offer for everyone, every business, and every product. The offer that a car dealership makes is going to be very different than the offer a convenience store makes. But if you want that sale, you want to hit as many of those buttons as possible and tweak those levers as much as possible to create a truly compelling offer. Like I said, Alex Hormozi's book, $100 million offers, goes into this in detail.
Yeah, it's really good. We did the whole course thing together. It was amazing. It's really good. But you really ought to know the other steps first before you go straight to the offer, because we did not. Step 6 is influencers in your tribe. So we've talked about what a tribe is and what it means, and you can have multiple tribes, and in each tribe there's multiple influencers. So finding those influencers and being friends with them and helping them out and working with them, or just being their friend, being friendly with those influencers, is very important to help you share your things faster. You help them with the algorithm by commenting and sharing things and being nice, and they in turn may or may not, but more than likely may, help you do the same. It's win-win.
Yeah, all the way along, you've been reaching out to prospects, setting up touch points, converting them into leads, cold leads, warm leads, and this has all been happening in their hangouts or in their fishing spots or in wherever your audience is likely to gather. And by doing that, you're going to end up on the radar of some influencers, whether you're reaching out to tribe members or just regular customers kind of thing, or you're reaching out specifically to your Dream 100 influencers, you're going to end up on these influencers' radar.
That's how you got out of homelessness.
It is. It's exactly how I got out of homelessness. It's also how we got Alicia Amira to hate us and Jessie Bunny to want to work with us. And by now, if you've been performing all the steps of the recipe properly, at least at a decent level, some percentage of those influencers are going to be primed to collaborate with you. They've probably entered your funnel already. They've checked out your stuff already. They've saw your free sample. They've maybe even ordered one of your products or something. But even if they haven't, you can send them a free product for them to check out. And if you've built up proper rapport and you have a good relationship with them and your product is actually good and they enjoy it, you're going to get a shout out or a testimonial or a review from these influencers. They're going to vouch for you. Maybe they even broadcast you to their list. And once an influencer vouches for you and shouts you out to their list or their fan base, the doors just blow wide open on your business. And all that struggle and all that setup and all that time you invested all feels like it was all worthwhile. Wow. Now I have this big name person co-signing me. It's like when Eminem got co-signed by Dre. M is like nothing and struggling and yada, 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 until finally he gets Dre's attention and his backing. Or when Drake got signed by Lil Wayne and Young Money. He was just Drake, an independent artist, slowly gaining steam. But when he finally got the attention of Lil Wayne, bam,
blew up.
Yeah.
It's true. Very true. It's very helpful. And it's so much easier than you would ever imagine. I promise.
But it does take 90 days of making friends and putting in the work and getting the touch points and getting those people into your funnel and building rapport with them so that they're receptive to your pitch when the time is right. Oh my goodness. It takes time? Yes, it takes time. But I need money now. Well, you should have started 90 days ago.
Yeah.
Borrow money now and then work for 90 days. I don't know. Like, I was homeless. What did I do when I needed money now?
And it took you 90 days too.
At least.
Yeah. And so influencers are just people and they want connection like the rest of us. It's not hard. And if they do have gatekeepers, because there's a lot of them that get to a certain size of their business and they have gatekeepers, make friends with the gatekeepers. It doesn't matter if it's the team, their assistant, or the influencer themselves.
Yeah. I've heard people say, I think they don't even reply to their own messages. I think it's just a team member. It's like, just a team member? What are you That's precious. Great. Now impress the team member because they are literally going to go talk to the owner of the account. They're going to go talk to the influencer. How were things this week? Oh, well, this person stood out. I think this is one of your best fans. Yada, yada, yada.
Yeah. And again, that's what happened to you. So Evan didn't see you, but his team did. The team took your name to him and he invited you out to meet him to talk to him about business. So like, hello, can happen to anyone. So,
and I was homeless.
Yeah.
At the time.
Yeah. That's so cool. Step 7, do it like it's your job. Do it all the time. Do it every day. 9 to 5, 8 to 10. I don't care what hours you put in. Put in as many hours as humanly possible that you can do to make this work. And don't forget to track it.
And this isn't because you got to hustle and it's hustle culture and that's how you win and you got to outwork the competition and do better than them. And it's not about that. It's about passion. If you're passionate about anything, how often do you do it? When you were a kid and you were passionate about video games, what happened? You stayed up all night. You skipped meals for it. You got annoyed when people told you to turn it off. People ask you to go outside. You're like, nah, man, playing the game. And you got good at the game. And then you beat the game. And then you passed the game. And then you introduce your friends to the game because you were passionate. Kids will play games 16 hours a day, like a job, like it's a job. Their posture is broken. Their food is gone. Their diet is trash. They are neglecting everything for that passion. Not because someone told them they have to hustle or it's the only way to get it done. It's because they love it and they want to get good at it. If you want to be good at business, the game of business, and have a high score in wealth, show me the passion, right? And you only do it for a little while. It's not like the kid plays the video game for life. They just do it until they win. They do it until they beat it. And then they're like, all right, now I'm going to go back to normal eating habits and I'm going to take a shower.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Same for entrepreneurs. You do it until you win. You put in the passionate hours until it's like, yo, I'm making bank. All right. I have some free time. I'm going to take this week off.
Yeah.
Like, it's all good. But every entrepreneur puts in the work in the beginning. There's a cliche about it or something, having no life now so you can have the best life later or something like that. So it's about passion. And if you're not passionate about something and you can't make yourself do that much work, ask yourself, is this for me? Is business for me? Is entrepreneurship for me? Is this business for me? Do I like my audience? Do I like my team? Do I like my product? Like, if you can't be a CEO and manage your time and manage your day, like countless business owners before you, maybe it's not for you, and that's okay. But if you're not passionate about running a business which creates jobs for the rest of the economy, if you're not willing to do more than a jobber to create jobs, then you should just be a jobber.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Not at all.
No.
I love them because I get to hire them.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah. And if your mental health is really bad, it's so bad that you can't do any of this or you can't even get through the step 0, it's fine. That means you just really need to focus on it. And you know that you want to be an entrepreneur and that this is the road for you. Then you really need to stop, put all this aside and really focus on your mental health enough so that you can get to the point where you can start following the steps and doing the things. Because if you do all the things and the whole time you're miserable and the whole time you're anxious and you're freaking out, and it's not worth it. It's just not worth it. All it's going to do is bring more of that to you. And we're talking about this because we want to help you improve your mental health through your finances.
Yeah.
So like, it's really important. And I know we've had clients where they were working the steps and their mental health was just so overwhelming. Their anxiety and their depression was just so much that they couldn't continue. And they kept banging their head against the wall and not really understanding why it wasn't working for them, because they weren't willing to put the business down to fix the mental health so that they can go back to the business and improve even more. So
yeah, it's kind of like if you had the dream of being a great swimmer, but you were recently in a car accident. And so you were in a cast.
Yeah. Like,
you don't just dive into the pool. I'm going to get this. I'm going to learn how to swim. It's like, you know what? I'm not ready to learn how to swim. There's something else I have to take care of first. So I'm going to rehab my leg, get the cast off, and then get back into the water.
yes.
Same for CEOs with mental health issues. You want to be a great CEO or a great business owner? Fine. That's your dream. You can have it. But if you have mental health issues or you've been in a mental health accident recently, you may have to rehab that first and admit you're not ready to be a business owner yet.
Yeah, agreed. And that's okay because we've all been there at some point and we've all had to set aside things to, some people call it self-care, so that they can feel better about themselves before they can move on. We had a client last week who we were doing a call, and he had a lot of stress and family drama and mental health stuff. And he was like, I'm really sorry, but I can't focus on this right now. Can we please reschedule? And I was like, you know what? You gave me time. You were honest with me. You told me the truth. You did your homework. Like, you had the things done. I understand that it's not always the best time. And then when we came back to it later, he was on point, he was sharp, he was listening, he was ready because he took the time to heal his mental health for a few days, and then he was ready to go. So sometimes you got to do that. Thank you so much. And I have a question for you. Well, not really for you, for them. Do you know money? Do you know how to monetize anything? Well, we are giving away those answers in Eyes Wide Open, Volume 1. It's the world's first self-help coffee table book. And we are giving away free PDF copies. And the link is in the description, or go to eyeswideopenfree.com.
Okay, great plug. But now that we've gone over the steps of the recipe, and we covered the ingredients of the recipe last episode, I think we should look at how to apply the recipe to some struggling businesses.
Great. I know a few.
Me too. Let's start with one.
So I know somebody who is not even at step 0. She's just learning about mindset, learning about the steps she needs for step 0. But her main concern is the content, and I'm guiding her away from that to really focus on the audience and being social on social, but she struggles with this. How can we plug her business into the steps, the recipe, to help her improve?
Yeah, great question. So it sounds like she needs to take the first half of the ingredients list and start getting to work on those. How do you bring leads in if you don't even have an Instagram feed or a YouTube channel or a LinkedIn feed or a storefront or something for them to come into, right? You have to have your demo, your samples, your wares.
Right.
How do you get leads and get the business off the ground if you don't even know who you're targeting or who your audience is or who your Dream 100 is or where they hang out or where they gather or what kind of language they resonate with and respond to and what kind of language kind of turns them off? If you don't know your audience, you're in trouble.
Yes.
So all of the setup, all of the preparation, basically the first half of the ingredients getting your first testimonial, getting your first beta customer, or testing it out on somebody, these kind of things are basically the only place she should focus on. She shouldn't be focused on creating the world's best viral campaign trailer or putting together the best product or the best sale, because there's no point in focusing on all those things that are way down the end of the recipe when you don't even have a niche or a tagline that speaks to people. If you don't even have a decent headshot or a single testimonial, what's the point in putting together some world's best offer?
Right. Fair enough. Okay. All right. That's good. And so for someone who feels a little unsure about step 0, which is all the setup, can you give one tip to help her with this?
Yeah, the biggest shortcut to confidence in anything is practice. And people try to avoid it. They want to read more. They want to watch more videos. They want to listen to more podcasts. Just give me that magic tip. It's going to help. It's like, if you want to get good at dance, you got to practice dance. If you want to get good at skateboarding, you got to practice skateboarding. If you want to get good at business, you got to do the setup. Like, you can't not practice it. It has to be done. It has to be done. It has to be done. I don't know how to get a testimonial. I'll recommend you a book on testimonials, and then you go read chapter 1 and go do it, or read chapter 2 and then do it. Practice, 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 practice. If you've ever seen anyone become confident at something without practice, let me know. And if you've ever seen anyone become confident at something faster than with practice, let me know. Because literally, that is the best and the fastest way to get good at something.
All right.
Or to get confident at something.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Very helpful.
Yeah. Like, make a mess. Get it wrong. Make your first bio. Let it suck. Make your first grid of 9. Let it suck. At least you have something. And I guarantee you'll feel more confident the second time around.
True. Very true. I've started so many businesses now. I know I could start one like in a day.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Because you've had practice.
Practice. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. That's good. All right. Thank you. Okay. So my next example is a man with a business. He's in the transportation field, and his issue is not enough clients. He does have some that trickle in, and he does make some money.
Oh.
But not enough to pay for the overhead or for his rent and his bills. And so, or his alimony.
So in this case, we can apply the recipe, compare it to the recipe, and see that he clearly has a working funnel.
Yes.
If he has even a trickle of clients, that's a working funnel.
Right.
Is it perfect? I don't know. Is there room to tweak the funnel? Probably. And so I don't know enough about his business to pinpoint the exact reason, because it could be that his funnel is great, but he has very few leads coming in. And so then very few sales come out.
This is his problem.
It could be that his funnel is rocky and kind of sucks, and he has quite a lot of leads coming in, but they all like abandon at halfway through the steps of the funnel, or they don't like something, or the offer seems yucky or whatever. So does this gentleman benefit most from fixing his offer, or does he benefit most from getting shout outs from influencers or more touch points with the leads? Does he have a lot of cold leads and they need warmed up like with touch points, or does he have a lot of warm leads and they don't need touch points, they need offers? Like,
yeah, he doesn't have enough leads, period.
Regardless, what I'm saying is, with the recipe, even though I don't know his business, I know how to diagnose it. I know how to walk through the steps and see what's up. And if you say the main problem is leads, then unlike our previous girl, it sounds like he has his value and his demo set up and his testimonials and his funnel and yada, yada, yada. But maybe there has not been enough emphasis on his Dream 100. Maybe he doesn't have a separate account to track them. Maybe his Dream 100 are offline and they're in the real world and he needs to go hang out at country clubs or something. I don't know what he's transporting. Maybe he's a limo driver. Maybe he needs to hang around at the airport. Whatever the case, maybe he needs to advertise more. Like, if advertising can bring in effective leads, cost-effective leads, that could be a gimme. Or maybe he advertises a lot, but his ads suck. They have poor copy. They're not persuasive. They don't resonate. They're low quality. I don't know.
Right.
Maybe they need to be neon colored or glow in the dark or ultraviolet, right? There's so many things you can do in the business, so many things you can tweak, but we can tell he doesn't need to focus too much on his setup and content and preparation. We can tell he probably doesn't need to focus on his offer since customers are buying it, and you said he didn't. And so now it's just about reaching out to more influencers and more tribe members and more customers and more prospects and more leads and hooking them into his funnel, because his funnel is going to convert. He just needs more.
So he needs more touch points to hook them. I think like using the
Well, touch points are for warming up.
Yes.
Are for warming up someone like a new lead.
Yes.
Right?
Right.
So
yeah, fair enough. So I think like what you said, like the influencers and the tribe and doing a Dream 100 and more leads and then more touch points to warm up the ones that he brings in. But that main problem is getting them to do more touch points.
Yeah. Okay. So prospects.
Right.
You need more prospects.
Yeah. Fanatical prospecting.
And to turn them into leads.
Yes. That's great. You're so helpful. My last example is someone with a huge business, like makes a lot of money and money is not an issue. Ads aren't an issue. Like that's not his problem. His problem is his growth has plateaued. So how can he grow from the spot he's in?
So usually businesses that are that advanced and at that stage have long passed the setup process. They have a super solid funnel. It's been tweaked. It's been A/B tested. They have great sources of leads. It's always been coming in. But when their growth plateaus, they've usually tapped out most of their market or saturated the market with their offerings, or they've become a known quantity. And so they don't stand out as much. They kind of blend in with the noise now.
Yes.
And they become less relevant.
Right.
And less noteworthy and less novel.
Yes.
And so a big part of business and hooking new people in and growing is standing out and getting attention. And most businesses like this actually did well at this in the beginning. They found a way to stand out and get attention. But a lot of times they don't do it super consciously and intentionally. So they fluke into it or luck out, or they think I need to stand out, and then they do stand out, but they don't realize that it doesn't last forever. And you will need to re-stand out or stand out again in 5-10 years or whatever.
Right.
Once that novelty is worn off. A lot of celebrities get this and they'll always aim to be relevant in the news cycle or relevant in the PR cycle. They will do things intentionally to be noteworthy. And some people find it cringy and shady and manipulative. Other people don't notice it.
This is why they have some celebrities will start another business.
I mean, I don't know. Hopefully they start another business because they're passionate about something. But I'm saying more like celebrity stunts, publicity stunts.
Oh, okay.
You'll see them trying to be relevant and trying to get noticed.
Yes.
Because they understand the cycle and they understand they can't just coast on standing out 5 years ago. They have to be different now. They have to be novel now.
Right.
Some of them get a little overzealous about it and they are constantly acting out.
True.
And this puts a lot of people off it and they're like, I don't want to do that and it feels kind of weird and I don't want to be controversial, etc. But regardless of that, if you have plateaued at one point in your business, you managed to stand out from all the noise. You did something different. You made it clear. You made it upfront. You were bold about it intentionally or subconsciously. And people were like, all right, noteworthy. And word of mouth went around and people bragged about you and people talked about you and you were a conversation topic at the table. People were like, did you hear what so-and-so did? Or there's this new business on the scene, or I like this content. They do better than that content, et cetera, et cetera. But if you now blend in with all the other businesses in your industry and you no longer stand out, you're going to plateau.
Okay. So can you give us one actionable tip for this person so that they can stand out?
Sure. You have to get out of your comfort zone and change. You have to be bold. You have to be courageous. You have to do something different than you've ever done before, regardless of how you feel about it. Like sometimes businesses come to me and they want to skip the outreach stage or reaching out to people stage, right, the connection and rapport building stage, because they don't want to get rejected or they care what people think about them or it feels yucky or they're an introvert or whatever number of reasons.
Right.
Do you think any single one of them, A, has a valid reason, or B, gets to skip the rapport building step of business? Right. It must be done, yes, regardless of how they feel about it. And so you can say that I'm cold and uncaring and I don't care about their feelings. But just like if you want to cook something, you need heat. If you want to build a business, you need rapport.
Yes.
So I don't know what to tell you. I'm not being mean. This is just how it works. And for a business that has plateaued, there could be other reasons for it, but it's often this failure to stand out. And no matter how you feel about it or how uncomfortable it makes you, you need to stand out again.
Yeah.
If the first time you stood out by standing up for a neglected celebrity, everyone's hating on them and you kind of champion them, Great. Maybe that makes you stand out. But now if you're known for that and that's all you do and you're always standing up for neglected celebrities, people are like, yeah, that's the celebrity guy.
Yeah, no one's going to listen to you.
Well, whatever. I mean, it's fine. Like you have your audience, but you're going to plateau and you won't be that buzzworthy. Journalists aren't going to talk about you.
Yeah.
The distribution networks aren't going to talk about you. The giant influencers aren't going to talk about you so much because why? What is there to talk about? What have you given them to talk about? Have you given them ammo of any kind to talk about? You want them to talk about the thing you came out with 5 years ago?
No.
That's weird.
Yeah.
They're not going to do that.
Yeah.
So no matter how you feel about it, you need to get different, be novel, stand out, and it takes boldness and creativity.
Mm-hmm.
And there's lots of ways to go about it, but it just has to be done.
All right. Well, I love it. And that's for all of us, really. No? Like,
yep.
Maybe not at the level of like you've plateaued, it's been 5 years, but like we all have to stand out somehow. Mm-hmm. So thank you so much. You're wonderful. And now we get to the book list. I'm very excited for this part because I love reading and learning, as does Jay. And if you're here, then you probably do too. So I decided last year to go on a quest to make my own master's degree / PhD course in marketing. Because one, this is my part of the business. And two, I believe that to really get great at something, you have to know it inside and out. And I didn't know all the aspects of marketing. And to be honest, I still don't. I'm not really great with SEO. I'm not that great with like data stuff, but I'm getting there. So Jay made a list of all the books, not all the books, but some of the books that I used in my class that I made for myself and books that have helped him on his journey so that we can help you with our list.
Yeah. And the main thing is there's a book for every step and ingredient of the recipe. Because my main problem was that I'd be struggling in a business and someone would say, oh, you need to give lots of value first. So I'd go read jab, 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 right hook and be like, okay. And I'd give and I'd give and I'd give and still no sales. What am I doing wrong? I read the whole book and I did it start to finish. And then someone else would say, yeah, you're giving value. Great. But did you target your buyer personas, your ideal customer, your avatar? And I'd say, oh, okay. So I'd go read buyer personas and follow all the steps in buyer personas. And now I have my buyer persona with the demographic and the psychographic and everything. And I'm staring at it and I'm like, okay, how does this make me sales?
Right.
And then someone else would say, well, you need to go follow up with customers. And I'd be like, oh, okay, I'll go read follow up and close the sale. And then I'd realize I have no one to follow up with. What are you talking about? I can't even do any of this because the main problem was I didn't have any leads the whole time. So there's all these books and gurus like this step, man, or this one. And I wrote a book on this and I wrote a book on that. None of them are like, here's the A to Z of all business everywhere, the recipe for profitable business. And so if you want to succeed at the recipe for profitable business, you're going to need all of the books or like 5 or 10 of them or something. And the trick is to go through the recipe. And anytime you're stuck on a step or an ingredient, you go read the appropriate book. That's why I put together this list. So if you were doing okay with leads and you were warming them up with the touch points, but you couldn't hook anybody into your funnel, I'd say go read Hook Point or Get Different.
Yeah, good.
Right?
Yeah.
Or if you're having a great time sourcing leads and getting them into your funnel, hooking them in, moving them down, warming them up, but then sales fizzle out, I'd say, look at your offer.
Right.
Seems like your offer's weak. Maybe go read $100 million offers. Or maybe you had all of that, but you felt overwhelmed and burdened and you didn't have time and free time and your business was chaotic. I'd say, well, it seems like you have all the steps just fine, but maybe look in the bonus books for Work the System. Maybe you need to systemize much better.
Great book.
Yeah, there you go. Or maybe you've got all of those parts, but your ads aren't converting very well. That's a really low percentage. Maybe your ad copy is just bad. It needs improvement. So go read Hey Whipple, Squeeze This. It's an incredible book on copy.
I know, I bought you that book.
Yeah.
And just to be clear, like people are missing so many nuances of business. And I also want to touch on one little thing. One of the people that we mentioned today on the podcast becomes overwhelmed with a lot of the steps of business. And I know it's a lot, but if you go step by step, it does become easier. You get confidence, you are learning and you're applying and you're doing, and then you become ready for the next step.
Yeah, why do recipes exist?
To make something really good. And so you have a step-by-step instruction to make it.
Right. So if you have to make biriyani, some Indian dish you've never heard of, it could sound overwhelming. Spices you don't know, ingredients you don't know, yada, yada, yada. But if I give you a recipe card,
it's easier. It's become easier if you follow the steps.
Yeah. It's like, who needs to get overwhelmed? I have the whole recipe. Just follow the steps. Oh, you don't have an ingredient? Go to a different store, or find a substitute, or ask around. But like, it's not hard and it's not overwhelming. Every human does one step at a time. Every person goes through the recipe. Every chef does their thing, and voila, you have an edible thing at the end.
Right. But it comes back to practice, because if you're not practicing the steps, then you can't become confident in the steps, and that overwhelm won't go away.
But who gets a recipe and doesn't practice it?
Nobody. But if you stop, but that's the point. Like, if you just stare at the recipe all day and you do nothing. So you mentioned biryani. That's your favorite dish. I had never made an Indian dish. I hadn't even eaten Indian food
It's
until
so good, though. It's really like white people Indian food. I'm telling you.
It's so good.
It's better than butter chicken.
It's really good, yes. And you can make it really spicy. But anyway, I have a belief that I can make, create, and do anything that I set my mind to. As long as I have steps for it, I'm good. And I knew I could do it. And it took me about, what would you say, like 10 times to make it before I got it even decent. I mean, now my recipe is beautiful and perfect, but it took, I've made biryani at least 30 times to get it to be where it is. Even more than that, actually. But I was overwhelmed, and I looked at this recipe. I have never made a dish before that required 2 days of preparation. I was like, what? I have to do this for 2 days? I can't just like make it in a couple hours? Oh, no. It's a 2-day process with a whole bunch of spices I've never used, or heard of, that I had no idea where to get in a very brand new country I had never shopped for any groceries for. So it was very overwhelming in the beginning. But I did what you said. I took the steps and I just worked them one at a time. Okay, well, I need to decide chicken or beef. Okay, very easy. I'm going to make chicken because I know that I feel more comfortable with chicken first. Next step is find the ingredients. Okay, make a list, haul around, find them. It's just step by step. So if you feel overwhelmed with all the stuff that we've talked about today, just work the steps.
Yeah, and you can even tweak the recipe as you go. You tweak your own recipe for biryani. Mm-hmm. You can tweak the recipe of business. There's some nuances, there's some rooms, there's some leeway, but pretty much this is the backbone, and you won't deviate much from this at all. It's solid. Anyway, the book list is broken down into sections that parallel the sections of the recipe. So if you're having trouble with the mindset ingredients, you go to the mindset section of the book list. And beneath each book listed, there'll be a little blurb from me about what they're best for or what they're focused on. So if you were having trouble with the philosophy of sales and the whole business journey, then you would read The Greatest Salesman in the World. It's an awesome story. If you were just uncomfortable talking about money anytime, or paying bills, or cash flow, or taxes, or whatever, you would just read Happy Money. Great book. And the thing about books is they win for learning. People think, oh, video can beat it, or podcasts can beat it, or VR can beat it, or video games can beat it, but books are still around. Even though we have ebooks, even though we have all these other formats and mediums, books are still going strong. And the business people who succeed the most are always readers. I mean, you get the rare exception, maybe Kanye, but even then, I think he could have benefited from some reading. I think he'd be having a lot less struggles if he added reading into the mix. So debatable, but I won't get into it too much here, but there are massive benefits from reading about how you sit with each sentence and how your brain processes it and how you absorb it and how you can highlight it and go back and how you can take things at your own pace and how it doesn't rush you along the book and how you can process each sentence and each point in a different way. That aside, the point is whatever step of business that's giving you trouble, there's something on this list that will help you. And it took me decades of time to find these. And I've read way more business books than that are listed here, but most of them didn't hold a candle to each of these for the given step. And most business gurus cover one or two of these steps max. So you're going to have to go out to the other books eventually when you get stuck. And we all get stuck somewhere.
I just want to add too, If you're reading a book and you're not sure that if you've understood the concepts, the easiest way to know if you really got it is to teach someone else. And if you taught them properly and they understood what you learned or what they learned, then you get it.
Yeah, this is why I generally write blog posts after I read a book.
Yeah, you do. It's really great. This episode and part 1, we will have the notes, the recipe, and the book list graphics all available for you for free because we love you. Thank you so much for your time. Jay has literally answered 5 million bajillion questions for all of this for me. Episode 51 next week will be back to our regular format of me asking questions and Jay answering in his wonderful, loving way. So I do have one question. Do you have anything that you want to share? Any final thoughts with our wonderful audience?
Yes. Business is simple. Like any recipe, it's just simple. It fits on a card. That's the recipe. There are nuances, there are details, but overall, it's fairly simple. It might take you a while to get some ingredients or source them. It may take you some time to blend them or process them or combine them into a working business and a funnel and so on, but it's still pretty simple. My deepest hope and wish and intention is that more people resonate with this and say to themselves, you know what? He's right. Business is simple. People have been doing it since caveman times. I can do this. Even if I'm new to business, just like if I was new to cooking or not a chef, hopefully I could follow most steps of a recipe. Maybe if they throw the word temper an egg in there, it will mess me up and I'll have to go Google that or read a book about tempering or something. Fine, but it's still doable. Same for business. Oh, what are touch points? Like, go read what customers crave, right? And then get the hang of touch points and come back to the recipe. It's really doable. You have value inside you. You have value to offer the world. You have value that can be monetized and turned into a lucrative business. And maybe you've already got that going, but there's room for improvement or you've plateaued. It's all doable. It's all part of your destiny. You're destined to have what you want and to have a thriving business and to be as wealthy as you want and to grow as much as you want. And my years homeless on the streets, my years of failed businesses, my years helping Evan Carmichael grow his empire, my years reading book after book after book on business, claiming to tell me the secret to making money, all adds up here and now for you into this recipe. And I know no one's going to magically get it just from one recipe card. I know that business takes more than that. And I know that all entrepreneurs are going to come up against challenges and face odds. And it's usually because of our mindset. It's not because anything is overcomplicated or anything is too tricky or business is too hard. It's because we're allowing our own mindset to make one of the steps into blocks, or we're too afraid to go out of our comfort zone to tackle one of the steps, or we don't want to change to become a person who's capable of certain, or at the very least, we're unwilling to go partner up with somebody and delegate that step to someone and trust them with it. So Sin and I are going to do all I can to help you guys with your mental health, help you with your money and wealth, and help you with the connection between the two. Thank you so much for being here. Go out there, get that paper. You got this.
And I think that you can feel and see our passion for helping you because we love you. We've been there. And if we can do it, so can you. And that's why our book and our podcast are called Eyes Wide Open. So after today, you know the full recipe on how to build a profitable business from scratch. And now you can watch this video here on 8 steps to monetize anything to help you make more money and to help you keep your eyes wide open.
Keep rising.